So for the principle of figure versus ground, we chose to use this picture. This is because the figure, which is the trash can, stands out when we first view it. So that means the background, which is like the bricks, goes in the back of your visual field, so it's like figure versus ground. Proximity is when you group nearby figures together, so we chose this picture because all the papers on the left-hand side are grouped closer together, so we see them more as like an item, whereas the woman for the bathroom sign is more off to her own, so we kind of see them as like two separate figures. Similarity is when we group similar figures together, so with the plaque we found that we saw them as rows. This is because we saw the names, which are similar, so we saw the whole thing instead of like each individual plaque. We saw them as groups. For the principle of continuity, we perceive smooth, continuous patterns rather than discontinuous ones. So what we see is we see like the lines that the lockers create. We don't necessarily see how each locker has stopped and there's like a little thing in between. We see one continuous line. For connectedness, we use this picture because it's made up of a ton of different parts, different like wall spaces, but instead of seeing all the different parts, we see one single unit. So closure is when we fill in the gaps to create a complete whole object, and with this scan code for the echo retreat, you see that it's made up of like different pieces, all these different like black and white pixels, but when you put it together, your mind just sees one rectangle. Linear perspective is pair lines that appear to converge in the distance, and when you see these lockers, you see like their lines, and then the tiling and the ceiling all have lines that meet in one place in the back.
Okay, so this is interposition, and we use this image to demonstrate it because we saw that even though if an object partially blocks our view, we perceive it as closer. So we see object number 2, the director's black square, that it's closer than, say, Kevin's shoulder. We use this picture to demonstrate relative height because we see objects higher in our field of vision as further away. Thus, we see the lockers in the hallway further away versus the stairs that are right in front of us. We use this picture to demonstrate relative size because we assume that objects are similar in size, but most people perceive the one that casts the smaller retina image as further away. So the lights further down the hallway have a smaller image even though we know they're the same size. Then we have shape constancy, and we use this picture to demonstrate that because even if objects are in different positions, they're still constant. The shape is still constant even if the retinal image changes. So we use this picture to demonstrate size constancy because even though the image is farther away and there's perceived distance, we know unconsciously that the size of the pink sheet is still, we know its size. So basically, even though when we're looking at it from further away, it's a smaller retinal size versus looking at it close up, it's a bigger retinal size, we unconsciously know that they're the same size. We use this image to demonstrate color constancy because we know that the wall is all the same color, even though the illuminating shadows make it look as though the color is different. The end.